Welcome to session on post-literacy for neoliterates. I would like to introduce this session by telling you one of the success stories of a woman named Radha. Radha, when she was in primary school, she knew that she had flair for writing because in one of the inter-school competitions, she had won prize for writing good essay. But she could not continue her schooling because there was no school in her village after 5th standard. She always longed for learning. One day, one of the preraks of their village, that is adult education teacher, came to her and told her about adult education center which was started in their village. She told her that you can come and join the adult education center and read the books available in the center's library. Radha went there and she started reading. She completed brief primer of post-literacy program and soon she realized that she can be a good writer, and knowing her talent of writing, the Prerak introduced her to State Resource Center's workshop which was meant for writing, and it was a writer's workshop. So Radha joined that writer's workshop and she wrote stories on the lives of women of her age staying in the villages. Soon one of the local newspaper understood her talent for writing and they gave her job as journalist. So now you find that she is writing for that journalist. So this is the success story which happened because she was given an opportunity to continue her education after achieving the literacy skills. So the objectives of today's sessions are that at the end of these sessions, learners will be able to recall the definition of post-literacy program, enlist the objectives of post-literacy program, discuss the steps in the implementation of post-literacy program, describe the clients of post-literacy program, enlist the aims and objectives of post-literacy program, explain meaning and significance of post-literacy programs. We will be talking about this. You know that in India, the literacy program could not achieve its success because the government or the officials who were implementing this adult education program had lackluster attitude towards post-literacy program. They did not give much importance for post-literacy program, and that's why people could not continue their habit of reading and writing. In fact, there was a neglect approach from the government side to ensure that learners will keep reading and writing after achieving literacy skills. So if you see why the literacy program in India could not achieve success, one finds that there was limited impact of literacy program because the government or the implementing agency had lackluster attitude towards implementing post-literacy program, and the need for retraining the literacy skills of neoliterates were not there. And because of neglect approach from the government, we find that still there is illiteracy among people. So aim of the post-literacy program is to ensure that neoliterates will not relapse into illiteracy. In short, if neoliterates are not given chance to continue their education, there is high chance that these neoliterates would either become fully illiterate or they relapse into illiteracy. So in short, if the neoliterates are not given chance to continue their education, there is a chance that they would turn into illiterates or they will relapse into illiteracy. So in order to ensure that they will keep learning, there should be continuous consolidated efforts to ensure that they will keep learning throughout after completing their literacy stage. Now we will see some definitions of post-literacy program given by UNESCO and National Literacy Mission. First we will see the definition given by UNESCO. Now we will see some definitions of post-literacy program. Post-literacy has been defined differently in various countries. For some, post-literacy means all forms of education that follows after the achievement of basic literacy. For others, it is consolidation of basic literacy skills to a level equivalent to the completion of formal primary school. UNESCO defines post-literacy program as a program which aims to maintain and enhance basic literacy, numeracy, and problem solving skills, giving individuals sufficient general basic work skills, enabling them to function effectively in their societies. National Literacy Mission has also given one of the definitions of post-literacy program that we'll see now. So, we will see the definition given by National Literacy Mission of India, which defines post-literacy as a part of continuing education. The post-literacy programs attempt to give interested learners an opportunity to harness and develop their learning potential after completion of a course in basic literacy. The purpose of post-literacy programs all over remains the same, that is to provide learning opportunities to neo-literates to ensure that they will not relapse into illiteracy. National Literacy Mission considers post-literacy as a bridge between primary schooling or its equivalent and further study. When we see the history of post-literacy program in India, we find that during 1950s, India received international support towards the development of adult education. While a number of Indian adult educators were trained by American team led by Dr. Frank C. Labouche and Dr. Weldie Fisher, the Ford Foundation provided grants for setting up social education training centers. The Indo-American cooperation in adult education did not last long due to political reasons, the only exception being the World Literacy Indo-American Cooperation, which continued to provide financial support to Literacy House at Lucknow to prepare post-literacy materials and impart training to writers for preparing materials for neo-literates. The purpose of post-literacy program all over remains the same, that is to provide learning opportunities to neo-literates to ensure that they will not relapse into illiteracy. NLM consider post-literacy as a bridge between primary schooling or its equivalent and further training. So, in this image you are seeing that one of the products, that is that adult education teacher is teaching bridge primer to the learners. So, NLM considered post-literacy program as a bridge between primary schooling or its equivalent and further study. Asia Pacific Program of Education for All was launched in 1987 by UNESCO with the aims of promoting literacy and basic learning skills through 3 programs, that is eradication of illiteracy, universalization of primary education and continuing education for development. Asia Pacific Program on Education for All, that is APEAL, has made a survey of continuing education programs in various countries. The survey revealed that those countries were organizing continuing education programs under different names such as post-literacy, adult education, non-formal education, etc. In India, the National Literacy Mission has designed a 2-year post-literacy campaign to be implemented in a mission mode. In fact, it has laid a great deal of emphasis on planning and launching of post-literacy campaign phase. In keeping with its aims, the mission has formulated and circulated broad guidelines for implementation of post-literacy campaigns. The objectives of post-literacy program are to consolidate the basic literacy skills of speaking, reading, writing, numeracy and problem solving, to transform these learners into an educated whole person who is productive socio-economic asset to the community. Mopping up operation, that is residual literacy or remediation, was one of the important functions offered under post-literacy program. That in India, post-literacy programs were not given as much as importance as it was given for literacy program. If they would have given the same significant importance for post-literacy program, the literacy rate of India would have really reduced. But this didn't happen. So, we'll see what the academicians have to say on the post-literacy program of Government of India. A report of the National Board of Adult Education's Committee on Post-Literacy and Follow-up Program, New Delhi, Ministry of Education and Social Welfare 1977, chaired by eminent educationist Sri J.P. Naik, stated that the post-literacy program needs to be organized systematically. Since the National Adult Education Program encompasses post-literacy and follow-up program, the assumptions and objectives of National Adult Education Program must apply to these programs as much as they do to the regular 10 months program of literacy. Post-literacy should be linked to various schemes of socio-economic development. Post-literacy program be given importance as a regular adult education activity itself. J.P. Naik, the eminent educationist, has mentioned that while implementing post-literacy program, we should not just use traditional folk media but also other types of media to ensure that post-literacy program will be implemented properly. Report of the Review Committee on National Adult Education Program published by Government of India 1980, chaired by Professor D.S. Kothari, mentioned that National Adult Education Program for 10 months had suggested that some provision be made for post-literacy and follow-up activities. Therefore, the report recommended a program of about 3 years for learners. It is to be divided into 3 stages. We'll see those stages. In stage 1, it should be of 300 to 350 hours spread over for a period of a year, which would cover basic literacy, functionality, general education, family planning, health issues. In stage 2, which would be of 150 hours spread over for a period of 1 year, which would include reinforcement of literacy skill and its use in daily life. In stage 3, which would be of 100 hours, which also was expected to be spread over for a year, which aimed achievement of a responsible degree of self-reliance in literacy and functionality and better appreciation of scope and value of science, so that the learners would become self-reliant once they go through these 3 stages. This was what expected by Kothari committee report. For post-literacy program of Government of India, India received support from various countries. Like Canada extended its support in 1960, through which one Department of Adult Education was established in Rajasthan University. British experts also helped during 1970s to ensure that the functionaries of National Adult Education Program would get trained through their funds. German funds were provided during 1980s for creating post-literacy material, and the funds were given to one of the NGOs. So a training program for National Adult Education Program personnel providing orientation to university adult education in India were there, and the support was provided by foreign funders. In India, the scheme of post-literacy and continuing education was named as Jana Shikshan Nilayam. It was there from 1988 to 1992. Through this Jana Shikshan Nilayam, government had done efforts to institutionalize adult education programs. So, wherein there was one center for Jana Shikshan Nilayam, wherein people could come, read, and they could have discussions, they could have some material for sports. So these things were there in Jana Shikshan Nilayam. Then the scheme of continuing education for new literates was introduced by Government of India, and it was there from 1995 to 2006. Similar facilities which they were providing Jana Shikshan Nilayam were continued even in this scheme, but here most of the material for neoliterates was new, and it was an addition in post-literacy program of Government of India. Post-literacy program was to cater to those learners who were either dropped out of total literacy campaign phase, those who could not complete prescribed norms of learning, or who were left out of first total literacy campaign phase. Neoliterates who completed total literacy campaign, dropouts from primary schools, and pass-outs from non-formal education programs also form the beneficiaries of post-literacy program. UNESCO has mentioned that once we decide the plan for implementing post-literacy program, we have to ensure that it gets implemented in the given format. So UNESCO has given some stages of implementation of post-literacy program. We'll see them one after another. Steps in implementation of post-literacy program given by UNESCO includes that in step 1, survey would be there. Survey with the objective to find out the number of people who are likely to benefit from post-literacy program. Interviews and questionnaire could be administered to enroll the learners for post-literacy program. Step 2, to gain support of the local committee involved in the implementation of post-literacy program. It could be local administrative officials of the area, local leaders, women leaders, representatives of NGOs, youth groups, working people groups, etc. Step 3 given by UNESCO for implementing post-literacy program includes material delivery. Modalities of delivery system should be characterized by maximum flexibility. Should be interesting. They said that the material of post-literacy program should be interesting. Time, venue, etc. need to be arranged as per the convenience of the learner so that they would make it possible to attend the post-literacy programs. While offering post-literacy program, both traditional and non-traditional modes of delivery could be used, including group learning, household learning, teaching learners at their place of work. Post-literacy programs aims to ensure that learners will continue reading and they will inculcate the habit of reading and writing throughout their life. So it is said that through distance learning, correspondence program, they can learn, and the purpose of such learning would be to encourage self-learning. So we have seen the 3 steps so far given by UNESCO. Now we'll discuss step 4 given by UNESCO for implementing post-literacy programs. So the 4th step given by UNESCO for implementing post-literacy program is training. That is training of the functionaries involved in implementing post-literacy programs. It has mentioned that these programs should be ongoing and it should be organized before launching the program, during the post-literacy program, and there should be continuity in organizing such programs. So this is given by UNESCO for the sake of maintaining the quality of post-literacy program. Let us go on the 5th step given by UNESCO for implementing post-literacy program. Or step 5 given by UNESCO is that post-literacy program personnel need to be trained in how to impart advanced reading, writing skills, presentation, assessment of reading, writing, numeracy and other related skills. PLP personnel should also be trained in how to motivate adult learners to complete post-literacy program, because this is a major thing in any of the literacy programs, that we need to always encourage adult learners to continue reading and writing, otherwise they relapse into illiteracy. Step 6 given for implementing post-literacy program includes identifying and mobilizing local personnel to implement post-literacy activities. Various forms of traditional media as well as modern media such as social media can be used to mobilize people, to motivate the adult learners to actively participate in post-literacy programs in order to overcome barriers in learning. Now we'll see step 7 given by UNESCO for implementing post-literacy programs. In step 7, UNESCO has mentioned that the curriculum of post-literacy program needs to be changed as per the requirements of people, and curriculum of post-literacy program has to be continuously reviewed and changed or adjusted as per the needs of the people. First we have to, because every time it is said that if the program is need-based, people really take interest in learning. So this was also mentioned by UNESCO. In order to meet the changing needs of the learners, curriculum of post-literacy program needs to be continuously reviewed and changed or adjusted. UNESCO has mentioned that if the program is need-based and it is as per the needs of the people really take interest in learning. So this curriculum change in post-literacy program was also mentioned by UNESCO. Now we'll see the last step of implementation of post-literacy program given by UNESCO. Step 8 given by UNESCO for implementing post-literacy program mentions that for improving internal efficiency of the program, monitoring and evaluation plan of post-literacy program need to be at place beforehand. Indicators of evaluation be developed in advance and should be incorporated in the evaluation tool. In India, National Literacy Mission had designed a one-year post-literacy program to be implemented in a mission mode at national level. They wanted that this program, like Total Literacy Campaign, be implemented in the mission mode. But I doubt that it has happened so. But it had mentioned that this post-literacy program should be implemented at the district level, and a registered body named as Jilla Saksharta Samiti should be the implementing agency for literacy, post-literacy and continuing education program. The mission mode approach was the main point which was emphasized by National Literacy Mission. Post-literacy program need to be offered simultaneously soon after the completion of total literacy campaign phase. It had three basic elements, namely identification of learning needs of neoliterates, provision of learning opportunities to meet the needs, and creating a socio-economic, political and cultural ambience to sustain the learning environment. Post-literacy programs also followed certain steps such as environment building. Same thing like what Government of India had done in the total literacy phase. They wanted to have certain such phases and steps for post-literacy program as well. They wanted to have environment building, mopping up operation and establishment of new organizational process and structure for implementing post-literacy programs. In India, post-literacy programs also followed certain steps such as training on methods, like how to impart post-literacy program to neoliterates. What would be the methods, like participatory methods, sports, games should be included while teaching literacy to the neoliterates for consolidating their literacy. Then selecting learning methods and materials. Different variety of materials should be prepared for neoliterates so that they would be interesting in learning, and their reading and writing habits will be there. Conducting post-literacy activities and monitoring evaluation played an important part in post-literacy programs implemented by Government of India. In India, post-literacy programs were offered in both structured and unstructured situations. Structured situations refer to organized learning, where primers or graded textual materials are provided to learners for guided study with the help of volunteer instructor. In structured situations, supplementary reading materials inclusive of books and wall newspapers are also made available to neoliterates through book corners or libraries. Post-literacy programs were offered through various art forms, study tours, excursions. Radio and televisions were also used for offering post-literacy programs in some regions. Information of various government schemes was delivered through various ways. One of the innovative ways of organizing village parliament, for example, village parliament was organized in Bilaspur district and Gaon Kacheri in Pune district for giving information on government schemes. In structured situations, learners were provided learning through self-directed process. The post-literacy centers were used as an open window for dissemination of information regarding ongoing development schemes. Learners were provided with a variety of unstructured learning opportunities to practice their literacy skills through supplementary reading materials and library services, thereby helping them to continue learning through self-directed process. Till the year 2009, breached primer was used in post-literacy phase for consolidation, remediation and continuation, and for application of literacy skills for neoliterates. Soon after the launching of Sakshar Bharat in 2000, all three phases of literacy, basic literacy, post-literacy and continuing education were allowed to coexist along with Sakshar Bharat. So when we talk about post-literacy program, I would like to mention that some states really did very well in the field of post-literacy program. Like in Kerala, there was Bharat Gyan Vigyan Samiti, which created demand for literacy and post-literacy in the minds of people. Granthashala movement was also there, wherein people were demanding to have library in their own villages and in their nearby places. In Dungarpur, there were Saksharta Bhavans, which were established only for library sake. So these were some of good examples wherein they really gave a lot of importance for post-literacy program. But still, if you will go back and see why literacy program in India could not succeed, one finds that even though the districts had completed total literacy campaign, the post-literacy phase was not started immediately after the completion of literacy phase. And that was the major drawback of literacy program implemented by National Literacy Program. Thank you.